All right, so I'm out at my Brooklyn Kayak and I upgraded this handle from this handle. So you notice it's a little bit different where it only moves so far, this handle as it sits on here. And I can't remember which direction it actually was, but it actually didn't move that far. I think it would actually sat this way. So that means that rudder would only move that far. So this handle, it doesn't have that to stop that. But there's a design flaw in this, and one of them is the piece that's in here and the other piece that is in the back. So I'm going to be replacing and upgrading with the BerleyPro system. I'm going to move you back here and kind of show you what's going on. So I've got the BerleyPro package right here, and you can see that this is my rudder design on my kayak now. So these points here are where these cables connect. Okay, so as this turns, as this gets down to this point, that's as far as that can actually turn. This cable can only go from here to here. With the BerleyPro, with this new system, let me open this up and show you what you get out of this kit. So this plate will sit underneath of here. It'll sit underneath of this, but your wires will come all the way to here. So your wire will be able to move from here all the way to there. So, and these wires will be independent, where this one that's on this, these two wires are actually connected up at that, the rudder handle. So that's the first thing. Secondly, these cables just come into this little round piece and lock into this. They will actually wrap around this, come up and go into a connecting device. So what this will allow me to do is the rudder will be able to go a full 180 degrees either direction, where right now it's only going maybe 30 degrees each direction, so maybe 60 total. So this will actually end up sitting on top of here, like so. Or is it like so? Yeah, I think it's like this. So, and you get some rope, some cord. This is the spindle that's inside. This is a little bit different, the way this is set up. But I'll show you the process of this too. And we should have, let's see, I've got that thread left over, if it's not this thread here that I used on the last setup that I had. I don't know if you could see this. It's for threading through these guides to go back up to that handle, and you've got some hardware. Oh, nope, I do have another one, sorry. It does have another little pack of that. So either way, I've got extra. I saved it. So and I'll be back and show you what's what. All right. So these little wire holders that we have in here. This is a 5/64 Allen key, and I don't know if you can see. Can you see in there? Yeah. So that actually goes all the way down in there. So if you just put this down in there, it'll lock into place. You'll be able to take these wires, you just take them right out. So slide them right out. You won't need those. We're gonna unscrew this plate. So I got a different rudder for this already that I already have on there. And get it off, set this aside. I put this little ring in here to kind of protect this area. But so old rudder, new rudder, you can see that it's bigger. It's a lot bigger. It actually does stick out the back of the kayak, which I'm okay with. It's very responsive. So I notice a huge difference because, one, it's bigger, got a bigger rudder in the back. Believe it or not, it weighs about the same weight. So made out of aluminum. Boonedox, good product, really great product. And I'll be back to show you what the front looks like up there and how I go about doing everything. All right, so this handle that I got, this aluminum handle, it's almost 100% aluminum. There's some bearings in there. So got a nice knob that turns, very, very smooth construction. It is built a little bit differently. If you look at how this handle sits down here and how far that drops down, this handle doesn't drop down as far. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of a modification that I most likely won't include too much in this video, but I just kind of wanted to show you the difference between these. But same pattern on the bottom. He originally made these for the Native Slayer. I think he made these for himself because he had one, and this is the kind of stuff that he does. But the quality on this next level design handle is remarkable. So you can see what it looks like underneath here. So I need to remove this bolt, and you notice this wire here, it's all one piece wire. This new handle from BerleyPro right here, you can see it's connected in two places, 1, 2, and that'll end up wrapping around. It'll go around each direction, and I'll show you how that goes on and everything, and the differences. But what I'm going to have to change, do you see how far this sits down in here? So as this sits down, oops, excuse me, as this handle sits down, it sits down further. I don't know if you can see that. It sits down further. So I'm going to have to raise these wires up. So, which is kind of a pain. So what I actually did is I cut the ends off down there, and these will just pop right out. And these are just melted and glued. And what I do is I just move them and put them out there and re-pull them, stretch them, remelt them, and they stay in. So it at least worked out really well in the last one. So, but these need to be like 5/8 of an inch, so probably more up here. So no big deal. Then I just have to fill this in with, I'm probably just going to use silicone on these because it's a spot that doesn't get moisture. So, all right, I'll be back. All right, so I am solo doing this. So this is dry storage here. So if you look at it's a lot harder to stretch them from back here out there and melt them, and maybe I'll show you that in a little bit. All right, so after I cut those ends, these tubes just pull right. that out a little bit first. All right, so how I got that measurement of 5/8, if I measure this from where this sits at the coming undone. That's the last thing you want, working so hard to put this together. All right, looking at the distance here where those holes are, I'm not going to change where those holes go because where these red ropes are coming up is pretty much where the inside of this this is. See how that's got that groove in there, so it's like a pulley. And you don't want to make it wider, you don't want to make it thinner, so I'm probably where these black marks are, I'm just going to come straight up and put holes, and that's where I'm going to work with for those. All right, so this is the shorter piece, and this comes out to about 37, as I stretch it out straight, 37 1/4. Okay, so what I'm going to do, oops, I probably should let that sit out. Okay, I'm going to take my heat gun, put it on high. This will be a little bit warm, so you want to stretch it and hold it. Okay, and it actually is probably not even warm enough quite yet. So, and believe it or not, that right there is 37 3/4. So I gained a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go over it one more time. So this will be a little bit warm on the hands. Just give it a stretch like so. Hold it until it cools. Doesn't take very long. And I'm close to 38 inches. So gain 3/4 of an inch. And you let it go. It'll shrink back just a hair. 37 7/8. but I have a little bit more room to reconnect this now. All right, so I'm holding the end of this rudder guide with a pair of pliers, and I've got this big screwdriver sitting underneath as kind of a heat sink, and I have an awl sitting inside of there because we don't want to destroy that. We want to make this lip come over there, so this will terrify a lot of people, what I'm going to do next, but it's not on there for that long. Okay, take your little screwdriver and give that a push, like so, all around. Kind of flare that out. Put that all in there just a little bit more. So if you have to hit it again, you got to hit it again. It doesn't take a lot to get it melted and started. Don't light your kayak on fire. So then you got to hold it there for another minute or two. Pull your big screwdriver out so that it has a chance to dry underneath. But that screwdriver helps absorb a lot of that heat that's underneath of there. Okay? Not the prettiest job in the world. I'm sure there's a tool that they use for these. And that should be good. Like so. I'm going to take that, give it a push in there. Push that out. There you go. Okay. Back and secured. All right, so the directions don't tell you to do this. I already ran one of the lines through here, but I came back from the back of the boat with this wire because the wire that I took off where it was screwed down to the old rudder plate in the back is rubbed raw. And so I only have this tied on with just one half hitch basically. So this will pull straight through, come right out the end. Okay, so that's already out the end there. Okay, let's give it a little more line just in case. Okay, and so now we just have to tie this end onto, oops, don't fall out. Okay, so we have our rudder wheel that's going to go up here. Okay, and so you want that to sit like so. Right? You don't want them to be overlapping. This is going to have a lot of pressure on it. Okay? And so this one on this side is going to go to this side. Okay, this one on this side will go to this side. You don't want them to cross. So we're going to stick that down in there. All right, we're going to grab the end of this. Okay, and the directions say to put like 6 half hitches on this, but the end of this line is poofed out a little bit. I can already tell that it's not going to go through very nicely. So you take a little bit of heat. Okay. All right. You don't want it to stick on there is what you don't want to do. It might even be better just to cut it. Okay. Make that so it'll fit through there a little bit better. All right, so we're gonna take this and we're gonna do just hand over tie, right? So we're gonna tie that in place on there, give it a pull, okay? Then you're gonna do half hitches, which a half hitch it's not very fancy. Okay, so you're just gonna take this and loop it like so, pull it over the top, pull it tight. Okay, take this, loop it over the top, pull it tight, right? There's 3, there's 4, and you want the last one to end up on the very end of this so it doesn't bunch up. There's 5, okay, so we're getting really close there, and 6, and it's still flared out just a hair. I mean, so it'll have something to hold on to. So okay, so you want it to kind of look like that, right? So probably not the best tying job in the whole world, but you'll get the point. So this will come up here, and it will be hard to kind of pull through at the beginning. So I'm going to take the screwdriver, wrap it around the back of this here. It's not cutting into my hand so much. All right. Give it a little bit of a pull. Come on, go in. It's just starting to go. There we go. Okay, now mind you, it's the reason that it's stiff going through there right now is because it has the extra line tied on there. It's flared at the end a little bit. So we're going to wrap this around. Again, screwdriver, pull. Should come out here pretty soon. There we go. All right. And it pulls through there nice and smoothly now. I mean, you can see how easy I've just, there's a slight pull now. Okay, like so. All right, and we're gonna line this up again. So if I had it sitting like this, these are closer to the front of this, and I want them sitting, excuse me, closer to the back. So as this is gonna go into this spot back here. So let's get it how we basically want to see it in there, like so. We're going to grab our lines and pull them somewhat so that they're somewhere close to there, right? Okay, and again, you don't want them overlapping. You're going to want to be able to look in there the whole time that you're doing this. And there is a spacer that even the other models have, a little spacer that goes onto this model, right? Okay, and even though these knots are on top, they can sit on the top, they can sit on the bottom, it doesn't matter. Make sure these knots are tight on there. You don't want them being pulled out. It's just a simple knot. It's nothing major on there. There's nothing, you can see that there's lots of space. These knots aren't going to get caught on anything in there, right? But you want this to be even the way this sits on there, and you're going to want this handle to sit on forward. So I try to line it up as best as I can. And I know it fits on there, okay? So there's a screw that goes on the bottom of this plate and a washer. So, and again, I don't think it matters if those knots go to the top or to the bottom. That's totally your call. Oops. So yours might have a different screw at the bottom. So the natives, I think, have a regular Phillips head in there. Okay. So this is the way I want my handle. Okay, and you want it to be positioned correctly. So put your hand like so, give these a pull. Okay, you don't want them to pop off. Okay, don't screw that down just yet. So got to work on the back plate now. All right, so this is the rudder plate that sits on the back, and it had these pieces in there, and they just have this this clip on the back that holds it in, and I just used a couple of balls to get it out. And this is important because you have to line this plate up, this plate, the BerleyPro plate. It's going to sit on there because this is going to screw down on there. This is what's going to help you able to change the configuration that's on here. So you've got this hole lined up here. You want to line it up as good as you can. I'm doing this on my kayak, so I'll probably hear a lot of people scream that you're doing it in your kayak. So, okay, hold it in place like so, with this hole lined up, okay, either direction, okay. Okay, make sure you're still lined up. know I probably should have put that in a vise. I didn't. And I'm good with it not being in there. So you got this. I'm gonna clean this up with my knife if you have any burrs or anything on there. So this is just plastic, it's not steel or anything like that. All right. Okay. So we've got a bunch of screws that came with this BerleyPro set. So dump these out off to the side. So you got 4 small screws, 4 big screws. It's very evident which ones go where because this has a recessed port. This has a regressed head or whatever you call it. So we're gonna line this back up the way it's supposed to go. That hole being like that, okay? And if these screws don't fit up tight, I used a little bit smaller drill when I did this, and I forgot. I need to round them out just a hair. Okay. Doesn't take a lot. Okay. Put that on there like so. Should push through. Because I use just a slightly smaller drill bit, and I'll be honest, I can't read how big that drill bit is. I just picked up the bolt and matched it up to it. You're going to take this plate, you're going to stick this on. Oops. There's always got to be one that's off, right? Okay, this one will be extra snug on there. So that's okay. I probably should have rounded that one out just a hair more, but it's in there. Okay, so we've got this plate. We've got 4 of these washers. Like I said, everything that's in here is pretty evident what goes in here. Here's the 4th one. Okay, and you got 4 of these screws that have the little locking nuts. I mean, excuse me, not screws, locking nuts. Okay, we'll get those started, and then I will get these screwed down, and I will get back to you in a second with the next step. Trying to do this one-handed, but these bolts are about an 8mm. Okay, just hold it with one hand. They screw in easy enough. Sorry, trying to hold and do this for the camera. So go on to the next one and so forth, and I'll be back. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do, you've got your plate all on there. I put these screws on. I did not screw them all the way down. And if you see, I don't know if you can see in there. Yeah, you can. There's a little copper brass, maybe it's brass grommet that's in there, where you can screw these in, and it's not flush. So I mean, there is a thickness of this rope that it's going to clamp around, but you want to start with your my right hand side. So, and you're going to come up through the bottom. I'm sorry, not up through the bottom. You're going to come up through the middle, and you want this to go up into there. Okay. So you want that up like so. Okay, put that off to the side. And then this is going to go, and it's really hard to do this if you screw the rudder down first. So you don't want, definitely don't want to screw the rudder down first. That one's going to go through nicely. Okay, make sure you don't have any twists, like the line just twisted when you get in. Make sure that doesn't, you don't want that to twist. So, okay. And now, instead of your points being on these sides, your point is going to be back here. So as this turns, instead of going from here to here being the only distance that you had before, you've got from here all the way to here. This is going to be how far your distance can actually turn on this plate. So it offers more of a distance, which is great. So now that we got this in, like so, these are just dangling. Nothing is tight or put in or anything like that. You want to put your rudder in. Your rudder will have a little spacer. Doesn't matter which one it is. I think they all have a spacer. Okay. Okay. Got that like so. Make sure your rudder is somewhat straight. So put it on there. Here I am, old school, doing this by hand. No drill. Okay. So I like my rudder to be a little bit on the tighter side. So I mean, I do give it a little bit of a wiggle. And you know, if you're in the water, it's going to loosen up anyways as it's in there. So what we want is we want our handle to be straight. So point your handle so that it is straight, like so. Let's see if I can tip you up here. You see where my handle is here? See where I'm moving it? So tip this straight. And let's give it a quick check. Make sure everything is where it's supposed to be, and it is. Okay. I'm going to take some tape and we're going to tape this down so that it is, it's going to hold in the straight position. So just use some blue painter's tape, masking tape, whatever you got. Okay. Make sure that is straight. Okay, like so. Okay, just so it's pretty much firm. So I mean, it'll move if you give it enough tension on there. Okay, so we got that like so. All right, so down on this tension plate here. So this is where you're going to want this to be tight, okay? Mechanical difficulties. Here, let's put that on there. Okay, this is where you're going to want these wires to be tight, okay? So you're going to give these a very, very strong pull, and you're going to come up around the first one, around the second, okay? And then I'm going to take the end of this, put it under here, and however you want to tie this on, however you think is best, but this is putting it under this rope here and pulling it tight. See, it's now underneath of this one as I'm going to tighten it down. So grab this. So not only that, as I tighten this up, it's actually going to twist even tighter, okay? Keeping an eye on your handle up ahead as you're tightening these up. Okay, so in keeping with this one, go around the first one, around the second. Okay, make sure that this is tight on here. If it's not tight, loosen it up, pull it a little bit tighter. But you do want them tight. I mean, that is not an understatement, because this is much, much different than dealing with wire. So, all right, so I got this. Where wire's always tight. These ropes are, you know, they're flimsy, so. Okay, go under, okay. Still keeping it tight. And I don't think it matters which one you tighten down first, the left or the right one. Okay, I know my hand is sort of in the way there. Okay. All right. So we got that there. Before we cut our wires, I normally leave or at least on my other one, I left probably about that much on there. And then I just kind of wrapped it around these spots back here, but you can see these are tight. So they are very, very tight in there. So I can't stress that enough. So, and I will be back and we'll test the rudder here in a second. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna check the handle. Okay, I don't know if you can see back there that it's moving too. So handle moves very, very smoothly. And we're gonna look underneath here, the rudder. Okay, see how far the rudder goes? Where before it only went at like maybe 60 degrees total, 30 on each side. So a lot more responsive, a lot more mobility. Definitely worth it, in my opinion. All right, lastly, we got these cut. These are frayed ends on here. I know I'll get some grief about using my blowtorch in comments, but do that. You can use a lighter, you'd use whatever kind of heat you want, like that. And then what I do, so you've got this little gap down here. I wrap it around once, twice, 3 times. And I take this end and I put it through all of those loops. And I pull it up towards the top. So I know that sounds complicated. It's not that complicated. Oops. One more loop. Okay. Just kind of keeps it nice and out of the way, like so. You know, you could take this and stuff it back in that hole there so it's not very obtrusive, like so. There you go.